Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
I'm Steve Wilkes.
And we're going to talk about a small-scale malting company up in Indiana called Sugar Creek Malt Company. And here's their brochure. And the amount of stuff that they do is incredible. And they sent us a bunch of grain for shameless plugs because they are now not only selling interesting and high-quality grains to professional brewers, but they are also opened up to home brewers as well. So we did a sampler on the audio show, a malt sampler of some specialty malts that they make. We did bourbon barrel aged chocolate, we did your crystal rye, and then we did the lavender smoked malt. So you'll have to tune into that and taste, or listen to that, and listen to us taste those malts. It was a really incredible and fun experience, don't you think, Steve?
Yeah, and the smoked lavender malt was, I think, the most unique of the three. They're all outstanding. I don't know that I had a favorite. The crystal rye was really good. I mean, I was really inventing recipes in my head, like the whole time we were drinking it. It's like, oh, I could put that in this, and I could put that in this, and that'd just be great in that. And
I was inventing too, and I put one of these recipes into action. In all
you're
of these,
you're a man of action.
A man of action, beer action. That usually happens the day after. But but all of the malts that you'll see are from the Sugar Creek Malting Company. So here we go. Here's the recipe. Into 8 gallons or 30 liters of water at 150 degrees Fahrenheit or 65 C, I put 10 pounds or 4.5 kilograms of their Pilsner malt, 8 ounces or 226 grams of their crystal rye, and then 8 ounces or 226 grams of their crystal 40. And I mashed for 70 minutes at 150 degrees Fahrenheit or 65 C, and at the last 10 minutes of that, I added 8 ounces or 226 grams of bourbon barrel chocolate malt. That was from the recommendation of John from the Sugar Creek Malt Company. So I collected my wort, and at the beginning of a 90-minute boil, I added 2 ounces or 56 grams of Saaz hops at 3.2% alpha acid. And then I did a no-chill. And then the next day I added Imperial B45 Gnome. The original gravity of the beer was 1064, final gravity 1012 for an ABV of 6.9%. So it'll be interesting. You know, we tasted those malts separately. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see what they do combined along with this Crystal 40, which we didn't taste on the show. So this is the bourbon barrel aged chocolate, the Crystal rye, and then the Crystal 40 along with the Pilsner. So here we got this beautiful beer. Cheers.
Cheers.
And see what you think.
It's good. It's really good.
It's pretty tasty.
It's very tasty. It's wow. It's almost like a stout, but it's not a stout. The gnome is different. You know, I mean, it brings a Belgian character to it, but you know, it's not as gnomey as I would have expected. It's cleaner. It's cleaner. Or, you know what I mean? Than I was kind of expecting. Maybe that was a little bit lower fermentation temperature because of the time of year it is, something like that. But so the beer is cleaner in that way than I would have expected. But boy, the chocolatiness really comes through to me a lot. And then you get that kind of Belgian funk going with it, and that's really an outstanding beer.
Well, thank you.
Really good.
Now the question is, whenever you add a bunch of stuff together, it's kind of like adding paint. You add too many colors of paint and you get brown. You get kind of mud. The question
Yep.
is, how is the balance of these flavors? Is it an additive thing where it's, a plus effect, or is there kind of a muddying, do you think, of any of those unique flavors that we tasted during the malt sampler?
Get a little green apple.
Inside joke.
Little inside joke. Yeah, it's not muddy. I don't get a muddiness. I think that the flavors all blend in a complementary manner. To me, the two things that stand out the most are, at first, I get a strong chocolate sensation. I almost feel like I'm biting into not a Hershey bar, because that's not that great a chocolate, but like a really good chocolate bar. And then that kind of goes away, and it yields to a Belgian pale, to kind of a Belgian pale ale of some kind of, malty, but with that little bit of Belgian funk going, and then there's a kind of a brightness. There's a bright taste and a bright sensation. I don't know that that's malt. That has anything to do with the malt. I think that's probably the hops and the yeast doing its thing. But and then of course I don't know. I don't know what their pilsner's like. I don't know how that affects it. Either.
I just took a sample of the crystal rye, and boy, I could eat that for breakfast, as I said on the show.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really tasty, super caramely, and I think I taste that in the beer. And then you would think that the bourbon barrel aged chocolate, you would think that it would just be, hitting you in the face with bourbon, but it's a much more reserved, more kind of mature, nuanced flavor, and I think it blends in well with this.
It does. It's just, I don't get other than like I said, that very first sip is really chocolatey to me, and then it's just kind of I think it's really well balanced. I don't get any particular, but it's not muddy either. I don't know. I'm not really a very good beer connoisseur talker.
Well, it's a good thing you've chosen this avocation.
No. I've chosen an occupation that requires me to be articulate. It's chocolatey. I almost get like a little bit of mint. There's like a little flash of mint, later on in the taste, and so I keep trying to figure out where these are coming from. Maybe that's coming from the hops. I don't know, but and I think it's just I think it's just a unique beer to my palate. So it's definitely not a stout. It's definitely not a porter.
No.
It looks like one. It kind of tastes like one when you first taste it. You kind of go, "Oh, that's a stout." No, it's not. It's kind of like, "You're a stout." You kind of want to see Batman slapping Robin. It's like, no.
Well, I think, and the body is really substantial. Even though the number says it finished at 10-12, the body of the beer is really substantial, and I think that's got to be, because of the crystal rye. And then the Crystal 40 as well. I mean, there's a large amount of the crystal malts too. But super, I'm happy with it. It would be interesting to play with the balance a little bit. To maybe go a little harder on the crystal rye, pull back on the bourbon barrel, and the Crystal 40, just to see what those balances do to the beer.
It's not a dry beer. It's really luscious. I personally couldn't drink a whole lot of it because it's such a big beer. It drinks big, so it drinks like a big piece of chocolate cake. And it's pretty alcoholic. It's basically 7% beer. So 2 of these and I'd be out. I'm sure other guys could hang a lot longer, but I'd be on a horizontal tasting at that point.
Well, kudos to the folks at Sugar Creek Malt Company, and thanks so much for sending so much malt. I've got
Yeah.
another beer or another couple of beers planned for the show with some other of the malts that they sent, and I'm going to share some with you as well. So
Great. I'd love to brew some of this.
we have a bounty of good malt from Indiana. So cheers to everybody at the Sugar Creek Malt Company, and
Yeah.
listen to that episode. There's an episode where I talked to Caleb and John from Sugar Creek, along with the malt sampler episode. So check those out, and look for small malt houses, in your region, because it's one of the benefits of the craft beer movement is that, along with delicious craft breweries coming online, there are these smaller, family-run, mostly I would assume, malt houses that are coming online and doing some really fun experimental stuff. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers and happy
Cheers.
brewing. Come and visit us online. At basicbrewing.com, you can find archive lists of our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs and our brewer's logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. If you're in Fayetteville, Arkansas, stop by Steve's Brew Shop or find him online at stevesbrewshop.com.
That's really good, and it's very unique. I just can't. I just didn't have the words.